O hero, Marichaha, the son of Marichi, Kashyapa, Kripanam, and therefore poor and talkative was pacified by the son of Marichi in suitable words. Please repeat the translation. O hero, Vidura, Diti, being thus afflicted by the contamination of lust, and therefore poor and talkative, was pacified by the son of Marichi in suitable words. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When a man or woman is afflicted by the lust of sex desire, it is to be understood as sinful contamination. Kashyapa was engaged in his spiritual activities, but he did not have sufficient strength to refuse his wife, who was thus afflicted. He could have refused her with strong words expressing impossibility, but he was not as spiritually strong as Vidura. Vidura is addressed here as a hero because no one is stronger in self-control than a devotee of the Lord. It appears that Kashyapa was already inclined to have sexual enjoyment with his wife, and because he was not a strong man, he tried to dissuade her only with pacifying words. Next verse, I'll recite myself. Eshateham vidashyami priyam bhiru yadichasi tasyah kamam na kah kuryat siddhis traivargiki yataha. O afflicted one, I shall forthwith gratify whatever desire is dear to you. For who else but you is the source of the three perfections of liberation? Purport. The three perfections of liberation are religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification. For a conditioned soul, the wife is considered to be the source of liberation because she offers her service to the husband for his ultimate liberation. Conditional material existence is based on sense gratification, and if someone has the good fortune to get a good wife, he is helped by the wife in all respects. If one is disturbed in his conditional life, he becomes more and more entangled in material contamination. A faithful wife is supposed to cooperate with her husband in fulfilling all material desires so that he can then become comfortable and execute spiritual activities for the perfection of life. If, however, the husband is a progressive in spiritual advancement, the wife undoubtedly shares in his activities, and thus both the wife and the husband profit in spiritual perfection. It is essential, therefore, the girls as well as boys be trained to discharge spiritual duties so that at the time of cooperation both will be benefited. The training of the boy is brahmacharya and the training of the girl is chastity. A faithful wife and spiritually trained brahmachari are a good combination for advancement of the human mission. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamy Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Kadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here the concept has been communicated to Kashyapa. Diti, her feelings she had expressed, what she is expecting. Now, what is Kashyapa's response to Diti's words? It is expressed in few verses. So it starts with Iti tam Veera Marichaha. After Diti spoke, Marichaha, Kashyapa, Kripanam Bahubhashnim. So she is addressed as Kripanam, very poor. Bahubhashnim, too talkative. Pratyaha Anunayan Vacha. Pratyaha, he replied. Anunayan Vacha, by pacifying words. Pravruddha Ananga Kashmalam, because she was afflicted, highly afflicted. Pravruddha Ananga Kashmalam, by lust contamination, lusty contamination. She was in a highly stage. She has been afflicted very heavily by lusty tendencies. So he is trying to pacify her. Then further he says, Eshateham vidashyami Priyam biru yadichasi. So he is saying, now I will satisfy you whatever your desire is. Vadashyami, I will satisfy. Priyam, because you are dear. Biru yadichasi, whatever is your desire, I will satisfy it. Tasyaha kamam na kuryat siddha traivargiki yataha. Because a good wife is considered the source of 3 perfections of liberation. So in the purport, Prabhupada is explaining about the mentality of Kashyapa. So he is considered here as not a strong personality. Why? Because when a man or a woman is afflicted by lust of sex desire, it is to be understood as sinful contamination. So that is mentioned here. Ananga Kashmalam. Kashmalam means impurities. So it's a contamination. Contamination because of lust. Ananga Kashmalam. Kashyapa was engaged in his spiritual activities, but he did not have sufficient strength to refute his wife, who was thus afflicted. He could have directly told, no, it is not possible. The Prabhupada says that. But he was trying only to pacify her. He was trying to pass on the situation if possible. He is trying to submissively communicate to her, not in a stern voice. It appears that Kashyapa was already inclined to have sexual enjoyment with his wife because he was not a strong man to dissuade her only with pacific words. So Kashyapa's mentality was he became already inclined. He was only trying to, if possible, avoid the situation by pacifying words. So here 2 personalities have been compared, Vidura versus Kashyapa. So both are great personalities, but Vidura is given higher priority because he is considered as hero, Veeraha. On what basis? Because a devotee is always strong in his sense control. And in the next thing, in the next verse it is explained about wife, the position of wife. How wife is the source of liberation. For a conditioned soul, the wife is considered to be the source of liberation because she offers her service to the husband for his ultimate liberation. Because she supports him in all the activities. Because if a devotee husband is there, he has to engage in deity worship. So he is supported by his wife. She cleans the paraphernalia. She arranges the requirement. She cooks the bhoga for the deities. She dresses the deity. She provides all the paraphernalia for worship. So in that way, she is supporting him. She is maintaining the consciousness of the husband. Because it is said that like just by food also, we eat cook's consciousness. If the cook is in the contamination mode, the contaminated thoughts come to the person who is eating. So if the wife is in a good devotional perspective, if she is cooking, the husband also will become enriched in devotional perspective. So in that way also she is supporting. And a faithful wife is supposed to cooperate with her husband in fulfilling all material desires so that he can become comfortable and execute spiritual activities for the perfection of life. See, material world in Varnashrama system, general principles are Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So wife is supportive in Dharma, maintaining the religious principles. Artha, in not persuading him to run behind money, be satisfied with what comes of its accord. If she is able to support the husband, not running behind him for give me more. Then sense gratification, not spending too much on sense gratification, spending whatever is bare necessity and keeping the household in a financial tight situation, not wasting. So in that way, if the husband is having free of anxiety, then he can focus on liberation. So in that way, it is said that wife is the source of 3 kinds of liberation, 3 perfections. If Dharma, Artha and Kama are taken care, he can focus on Moksha. And if he becomes Moksha, then wife will automatically share the result and she also becomes liberated. The training of a boy is Brahmacharya and the training of a girl is chastity. A faithful wife and a spiritually trained Brahmacharya are a good combination for advancement of the human mission. So qualifications from both ends are required. A boy has to be trained as a perfect Brahmachari and a girl has to be trained as a perfect chaste woman. So then the citizens, whatever be produced from their combination, will be devotees. So in one lecture, Prabhupada explains about the duty of a husband to duty of a wife. Women should be trained up from the very beginning how to become a good wife and good mother. In that perspective, Prabhupada explains. The nature of woman is called as Svama Swabhavaha. They are very simple and soft-hearted. Like in Draupadi's case, when Draupadi was trying to stop Ashwatthama from being punished. Even though her sons were killed, but being a soft-hearted woman, she is pleading a Brahmana should not be killed. Even though Ashwatthama was an aggressor, he has to be punished. But Draupadi is saying, no, he is of the nature of a spiritual master. He should be given all respects. The whole idea is the woman should be given protection, not freedom. That is the injunction of the Manu Samhita. Nastri swatantram arhati. So woman, at every stage, she needs protection. That is the respect what we give for women. It is not that they are acting like slaves. Not that if sometimes we receive complaint in foreign countries, you keep women like slaves. I replied, we do not keep our women as slaves. They are very respectful at home. The sons take care of the mother in a highest position. Husband gives the highest perfection by protection. Like for example, Ramachandra. Lord Ramachandra is the Supreme Lord, but Ravana took Sita from his protection. Ramachandra could marry millions of Sitas, or he could create millions of Sitas. But he is showing the example that it is the husband's duty to give protection to the wife at any cost, and he did it. For one woman, he killed the entire dynasty. So this is husband's duty. So protection, not slave. The husband should give to the wife the topmost protection, and the wife should be so faithful to the husband that Sita Devi, she is a king's daughter, Vaidehi Putri, Vaidehi, the daughter of Videha Raja, Janaka Maharaj. So when Ramachandra was banished, Sita Devi could have said, no, your father has banished you, I need not go to the forest. I will go to my father's house and I will enjoy. She never said that. She said, whatever it is, happiness or distress, we will share both of you. Both of us will share. She followed her husband to the forest. She was never asked, but she followed. Draupadi, when she was put into that gambling match, the Pandavas were exiled. But Draupadi said, no, I will follow my husband. It is good or bad, we will always be there together. Even in earlier circumstances, Kunti Devi, she also followed her sons. Wherever my sons are there, I have to be there with them. So in that context, Prabhupada is saying, Draupadi also went with the Pandavas to the forest when they were banished, and Kunti also went with her sons in the forest. So this is the system. Kunti Devi had nothing to do with the gambling of Pandavas and Duryodhana. But because the sons were to go to the forest, the mother also followed, the wife also followed. This is the Vedic system. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also had very beautiful wife and very affectionate mother. Both are very good asset and family. And Prabhupada quotes Chanakya Pandit. He says, Mata yasya grihe nasti, bharya cha apriyavadini, aranyam tena gantavyam, yatharanyam yathagraham. Where there is no mother in the house, where the wife is not, where the wife talks very roughly, she is not a pleasant lady. Aranyam tena gantavyam, a person, for him it is better to go to the forest. Yataranyam yatagraham, because for him either at home or in the forest the same thing. So this is the Vedic culture. Woman should be trained up from the very beginning how to become good wife and good mother. That is the duty. So Vamasvabhavaha, it is the example. Kunti is one example. Draupadi is one example. And we have got many examples how to train women. They are very soft-hearted. They can be molded in any way. So husband's responsibility is to give protection to the wife. And wife's responsibility is to be faithful to the husband. That is the point what has been enumerated here. So duty is from both sides, not just one-sided. So then, here the perspective is explained about the nature of lust. What is problem with the lust? What happens if a person becomes afflicted by lust? The consequences are elaborated in Bhagavatam. It says, Vishayeshu gunadyasyat pumsa sangas tato bhavet. Vishayeshu, in the sense objects. Gunadyasyat, when the person becomes attracted or becomes entrapped by desirable objects. Pumsaha, a person. Sangas tato bhavet. He becomes attached to them. You contemplate on a subject, dhyayato vishayan pumsas sangas teshu upajayate. Similar words this is. Sanga tatra bhavet kamaha. Because of too much association, bhavet tatra kamaha. Then lust is activated. Kamad eva kalir runam. And from kama, lust becomes kali personified, quarrel among men. Like association with friends, a person becomes attached to a sense object. Now these two friends starts fighting for the same woman. Now circumstances can not be in a favorable way. And one wants to harm the other. So kalir nirnam, people quarrel among themselves to fulfill their lusty desires. Kalir durvisaha krodaha. What happens because of this kali? Intolerable anger is generated. Durvisaha, intolerable anger. Tamastam anuvartate, and he becomes entrapped in ignorance. Anuvartate, next ignorance follows. Tamasa grashyate pumsam chetana vyapani drutam. When one is covered by ignorance, what happens? Ignorance quickly overtakes the broad intelligence of the man. So, pumsas chetana vyapini. The broad intelligence becomes entrapped in ignorance. Suddenly there is absence of light everywhere. Can we act properly? Do we know where are we walking? Do we know where which object is? We'll be faltering in the process. We may fall down. We may hit something. So ignorance, when it covers the consciousness, a person will lose his sense of discrimination. Next. Taya virahitaha sadho jantu sunyaya kalpate. O sadho, O my dear Uddhava, jantu taya virahitaha, when a person whose real intellect is lost, bereft of real intelligence, is shunyaya kalpate, he is considered to have lost everything. Shunya means it's gone, nothing. Tato asya swa ardha vibramsho murchitasya mritasya cha. Deviated from the actual purpose of life. Swa arthaha vibramshaha, one who is deviated from the path. Vibramshaha, one who has fallen from the path of his goal of life. He is murchitasya, he is a person almost like without consciousness. Mritasya cha, he is almost like a dead man. See the significant point. Too much attachment leads to lust. Lust leads to kali personified. Kali leads to unavoidable anger. Anger leads to ignorance. And ignorance leads to loss of discrimination of intelligence. And a person, one who is lost his intelligence, is like a dead man. Kaminaha krupanaha lubdaha pushpeshu falabuddhayaha agnimuda dumah tanta swam lokam na vidantite. So those who are kaminaha, who are full of lust, krupanaha, who are full of avarice, lubdaha, those who are greedy, pushpeshu falabuddhayaha, mistake mere flowers to be actual fruit of life. Because he is in illusion, he doesn't know what he is aspiring for. So he is aspiring for something which is in illusion, something not in reality. Then Agni Mudaha, bewildered by the glare of fire, Dhumatantaha, suffocated by its smoke, Swalokam na vindantite, they cannot recognize their own true identity. So a person in illusion, Jai Shri Radha Govindaki, can he know his reality? What he is, where he is, in which direction he is proceeding? He loses no idea of his subject. So that's why he is under illusion. He lost his real position, information of his real position. Now, how to come out of these lusty tendencies? Is there an opportunity for us? So, Shukadeva Goswami recommends two different ideas. One, he says, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Shrunvata swakata Krishna, Shrunvata shraddaya nityam granatasya svachestitam kalena nati dirgena Bhagavan vishate hrudi. Shrunvataha shraddaya nityam. Shrunvataha, those who hear. Shraddaya, with faith. Nityam, regularly. Those who hear this Srimad Bhagavatam regularly. Granatascha svachestitam. So, those who are always taking this matter very seriously of hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, and you practice, not just hear. Do implement the principles what we hear. Kalena na ati dirgena. In due course of time, in very short span, na ati dirgena, it's not very long, in very short span, Bhagavan vishate hrudi, the Lord appears within the heart. Like how you contemplate on the subject and you are contemplating on a subject and your mind is focused on that subject all the time. So similarly, you contemplate on Bhagavatam and you will be always be focusing on Krishna. Then, pravistaha karna randrena swanam bhava saroruham dunoti samalam Krishna salilasya yatasharat. So that sound incarnation, pravistaha karna randrena, it enters through our ears. Then Swanam Bhava Saroruham, it enters into the heart of the lotus flower of the loving relationship of the devotee. Then Dunoti Samalam, it cleanses all the dust of material accumulation, such as lust, anger and hankering. It purifies us of all the contamination. All the impurities in the heart are cleansed off. See, where does this impurity sit? The impurities sit in the heart. They are known as knots, gnanti. So this hearing this Bhagavatam will give an opportunity to cleanse the heart from all the unwanted association. It cuts the knots. Hridaya Granthi. It cuts all the Vidyate Hridaya Granthi. It cuts all the knots. Then Salilasya Yatasharat. As autumnal rains clean the muddy pools of water. Similarly, this hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam purifies our consciousness and our heart. So what happens when we are infatuated by lust is explained in one more place. It says, Tan maya rachite loke vastu buddhya grahadishu brahmanti kama lobhirsha moha vibranta chetasah. It says, Kama lobha irsha moha vibranta chetasah. Those hearts which are bewildered by the influence of kama, lust, then lobha, greed, irsha, envy, moha, illusion, they are all vibranta chetasaha. They are all bewildered by the influence. The hearts are bewildered. Vibranta chetasaha. Or vastu buddhya grahadishu. They are only interested in false earth and home. Then Tvan maya rachite loke. In this world created by maya of the Lord. We all think this house, I am meant for maintaining this house. I am meant for managing this world, managing this family. Maya rachitaha. These are all relationships which are manufactured by maya. Then, attached to the home, wife and children, they wander in this world perpetually. Brahmanti, Abrahma Bhuvana Lokal. They roam within these 14 planetary systems. So, one more solution which is given to come out of this lusty tendency is in hearing about Krishna's pastimes with the gopis. The 10th canto, after hearing that Raslila pastimes of 5 chapters, at the end Shukdev Goswami says, Vikriditam Vrajavadubir ijam cha Vishnu. So, Vrajavadubir, the gopis, Vikriditam, the playful pastimes by Vishnu, Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna's playful pastimes with the gopis. Shraddayanvito anushunayad ata varnayedyaha. Shraddayanvitaha, with faith. Anushunayad, those who hear. Varnayedyaha, those who describe these pastimes of the Lord with gopis. Bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhya. He obtains the highest form of devotion service to the Lord. He attains the highest stage of bhakti, pratilabhya. Kamam hridrogamashu apinoti. Kamam, the lusty tendencies, hridrogam, which is a disease of the heart, is apihinoti, is cleansed off. The disease becomes purified. We become cured of the disease of this lusty tendency, which is a disease of the heart. Hridragam. Then Achrena Dhiraha, and we become sober very, very soon. We become very peaceful personality. We become very calm, personified. Achirena, very fast, quickly. So then further also Krishna says in Bhagavatam, by engaging in devotional service and by understanding Krishna's position, how we can improve in our consciousness. He says, Samo Mannista Buddher. So absorbing the intelligence and me constitutes mental equilibrium. By engaging in bhakti, the mind becomes mental equilibrium, intelligence becomes samaha, controlled. Dama indriya samyamaha. So complete discipline of the senses is self-control. Titiksha dukkha sammarsho. Tolerance means patiently enduring unhappiness. Jihvopasta jayo dhritihi. Steadfastness occurs when one conquers the tongue and genitals. Dandanyasaha param danam. The greatest charity is to give up all aggression towards others. Kama tyaga tapasmrutam. The renunciation of lust is understood to be the real austerity. Swabhava vijayaha shauryam. Real heroism is to conquer one's natural tendency to enjoy material life. Satyam cha samadarshanam. Reality is seeing the super soul in every living entity. Rutam cha sunruta vani. Truthfulness means to speak the truth in a pleasing way. Kavibihi parikirtita, as declared by great sages. This is truthfulness. Karmashu asangamaha saucham. Cleanliness is detachment in fruitive activities. Tyagaha sannyasa uchyate, whereas renunciation is the sannyasa order of life. Dharma ishtam dhanam runam. The true desirable wealth for human being is righteousness. Yajnoham bhagavatottamaha. I, the Supreme Lord, I am the sacrifice personified. Dakshina jnana sandeshaha. Religious remuneration is devotion to the acharya with the purpose of acquiring spiritual instruction. Pranayama parah balam, and greatest strength is the pranayama system of breath control. So Krishna is saying how these qualities have to be developed within us. What is the perfection of that quality? In that way, when we engage in devotion service, we become strong, we will be able to face any situation. Like once Prabhupada was asked about what is so special in his books. Prabhupada said, my books are better than me because the best of me is in the books. I sit there and every word that comes out is the very best of me. See how what Prabhupada is saying. I am compiling these books, whatever the words what I am compiling, they are the best of me. Because the essence of all Vedic knowledge is given in these books. Just by studying these books, we can reach to the perfection. So sometimes this great opportunity in the association in the form of books comes very rare to people. There was one devotee, his name is Sarvatma Das. So he was explaining of his experience of book distribution of one more devotee. That devotee name was Kalpataru. He is from Ecuador area. Either Ecuador is in Europe or African Europe border somewhere. So how he became Krishna consciousness? See, sometimes people become detached from this world, renunciation. They had experienced all these material situations and all, they become vexed up with this material life and he became detached. And he left the city life and went away to somewhere in some forest in Ecuador, away from public life. He made one cottage on the top of a tree. And he was living there, eating only some fruits, roots and leaves and something and all. So he was living like a yogi for almost 1 year. After 1 year, there was one more person who came to that same place for trekking. He was passing to some other area. He went through the Ecuador part. So while he was trekking, he came across Kalpataru, and both of them became friends. And while staying with him, they enjoyed roaming around in the forest, and he explained to him what, which, and all these things and all. For giving that hospitality, he became very satisfied, and he wanted to gift something to that Kalpataru, because he wanted to be gracious, because he had helped him getting a place to stay and supporting him in food and all these things and all. So this person, while he was traveling, somebody gave him one Krishna book in the airport. So he thought this book can be a gift for him. So he left that book to Kalpataru and he went away. Because he was in the forest, he doesn't know what to do. He picked up that book and he started reading. By the end of that, he came to the end of the book. He became too much fascinated by Krishna. He left the forest and came to the temple and joined the temple. And he became inspired that for 30 years he has been doing book distribution. Like, an idea can change a life, a book can change the life. Just by reading Krishna book, story is only perspective. But how he became fascinated. And how Krishna attracts a personality. So similarly, in Bhagavatam also we come across certain personalities, lusty tendencies, how it destroys one's life. We hear in Mahabharata the perspective of Kichaka. He is a great warrior, but very arrogant person. King Virata had to depend upon Kichaka. Kichaka was the commander-in-chief. So when Pandavas were in incognito, all the 5 brothers have taken respective positions there. Even Draupadi, she came as the hairdressers to the wife of Virata, Sudeshna. So one day when Kichaka approached his sister, he saw Draupadi and he became infatuated by lust. He is so much carried away. He immediately wanted to possess her. She started asking his sister, who is she? She is like a divine goddess, Lakshmi Devi like herself. She had come from the heavenly planets or what? Such a beautiful lady. How is that she is acting to her position? She should be like a queen. She is acting like a maid servant. So he started persuading his sister. Who is she? Please make me. Sudeshna explained that she is a woman of wives of Gandharvas, and her position she had explained. And in the meantime, Draupadi had come there to serve Sudeshna. So he picked up the situation and he went directly and he started flirting with her. He started praising her. He is trying to entrap her by sweet words. But Draupadi Devi was very soft, silent, sober lady. She covered her face and she said, this is not the etiquette of a respectful personality. I am a married woman. I have my husband. And this is, you are bringing your misfortune upon you. This is not good for you and for your kingdom. Respectful lady should never be disrespected. But, and she left the place. He became so infatuated by lusty tendency. So he went to his sister and said, at any cost, she should submit to me, whatever you do, or else I will commit suicide. And you will be the responsible for my death. He emotionally blackmailed his sister. Now Sudeshna wanted, feeling compassionate upon her brother. She said, I will find a situation. I will bring out a purpose that she will come to you. And when she comes, personally you can talk to her. Maybe you can convince her in her words. Plus be careful. Don't act crazily in the meantime. So one day, she called Draupadi and said, so I am not feeling well. There are some wines which are there in my brother's palace. Go get them. Draupadi said, no, I will not go to that sinful man. You send some of your others. No. My brother will not do anything because you are coming on a royal duty. You go immediately, he will give you the wine and you get that wine to me. So Draupadi can't avoid the situation because she is a servant. She is under the obedience of her master. When she came out, she started praying to all the demigods, she started praying to sun god. So I am a wife who is faithful to my husband in all situations. Please protect me. So sun god, feeling compassionate, instructed one Rakshasa to take care of her. So the Rakshasa was following her. So at one particular point when she entered, now Kichaka got an opportunity, then he started flirting with her, saying, no, for last few days my life is not with me. Body is here, but my life is with you. He's like, we know all cinematic style, how a person tries to subdue the woman. So he was trying with all perspectives. Then see that when that lust personified was sitting in his head, he was losing control, sense control. He is running behind Draupadi. He wanted to catch her by hand. She pushed him away. When this what happens now, this ego clash comes. The male ego, when he got hurt, he somehow or other he wanted to catch her, enjoy her. She ran to the king's palace. He was following. Assembly was there. She came to the assembly and she started asking the king in the assembly. Kichaka also followed the assembly. And he came there and he kicked her. She fell down. When he kicked her, the demon who was guarding Draupadi, he also kicked him over the air. And suddenly he also fell down. In the meantime, she got up and she was asking the king, what is this? Where is protection in your kingdom? You are the king. See how this sinful person is running behind me. Like that she appealed. Yudhishthira was there, Bhima was there. They saw the situation. Bhima was very angry. He was gushing his teeth and he was making the situations. He could, if given an opportunity, he will tear up Kichaka then and there itself. But Yudhishthira Maharaj pacified him and said, cook, you are not supposed to be here. You are required in the kitchen. Go away from here. So then, following the order of Bhima, Yudhishthira, Bhima went away to the kitchen. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj said to that Draupadi, this is not the way. You go away to your respective madam's place. King will handle the situation. So Kichaka he got up and he was confused. Who pushed him? Then he started looking at Virata. Can you punish me? You are dependent upon my protection. So Virata also was saying, no, I don't know what the quarrel is. So without knowing the details, I cannot give any judgment. So when Draupadi was sent away, all the situation was done. Draupadi went home. Then Sudeshna asked, why are you crying? What is the situation? What happened? She explained everything. Then she took leave. She went home. She took bath. She prepared herself. And she was thinking, what could be done? Then she could remember Bhima. Then she thought, only Bhima could pacify me in this situation. So she went to Bhima and she explained the situation. Then Bhima said, we will do one thing. We will give proper punishment to him. You inform Kichaka next time. You come to the one mandapa is there, where there dance and sound, like it is like an enjoyment theatre. You come there, Nritya Mandapa, alone, in the dead of the night, and I will satisfy your desire. So next opportunity, when Kichaka was updated about this message, he became very happy. He became dressed up himself nicely. He came to the situation. So when he entered inside, he saw one beautiful lady sitting there. The lights are off. It is almost like a romantic atmosphere. But he doesn't know the person who is sitting there is not Draupadi, he is Bhima, dressed like a woman. So Kichaka tries to grab the situation and all these things and all. In the Bhima, in the meantime, he is waiting for the opportunity, and at one particular point, Bhima will pounce upon Kichaka and he will beat him, mash him like it is like a lump of flesh, he will beat him. You will not know which part is what part. So he was so beaten so horribly that the next morning, the message was communicated that Gandharvas came and killed Kichaka because he had violated the chaste wife's principle. Draupadi Devi. She was saying, because Draupadi at that time she said, my husbands are Gandharvas. So when this situation, see, one person, because of that lust uncontrolled, how it destroys his whole life. So always we have to be very careful. This, how to come out of these lusty tendencies? In the association of Bhagavatam, by hearing it from the devotees, by practicing sense control, we can come out of these unwanted perspectives. So that's what we hear from here from Bhagavatam. And the training, what is required, that is brahmacharya training. And for a good boy, brahmacharya is required, and for a good girl, chastity is to be trained. The combination will be better for the human society. I'll stop here. Any questions or doubts?
Hare Krishna. So what Kashyapa has to do so that he can become like a Buddha?
He could have avoided the situation. He could have said, not now, we could have do some other things later.
But that is his weakness. How he can conquer that weakness? What he has to do so that he becomes like a strong like Buddha?
So that's what is brahmacharya training. He should be able to restrict or avoid the sense enjoyment. Like see, to avoid that thought means he has to conquer it by spiritual strength. Like param drushtva nivartate, by higher taste conquer the lower taste. So now we have to become strong in devotional service, so that even allurement comes, like how a tortoise, when the danger is there, it gets inside. That's in the initial stage. In the advanced stage, one should be like an ocean. Unlimited rivers come, but the ocean is not agitated. So we should rise to that standard of all these material desires may come, but we should not become connected with that desire. We should be, they come and go. That's it.
So these are all theory. What Kashyapa has to do at that time?
Has to be do at that time means like at that time it is not possible. He should do some other time so that he can be ready for that situation.
What is that he has not done earlier so that he went through that process, that problem?
So that's what he has to restrain his senses properly by higher understanding.
Because Kashyapa is not an ordinary person.
Understood.
Yeah, but still that kind of people are having that problem. They have philosophical, very strong philosophy. They will be
Philosophy is, but devotional element. That's why Vidura is compared as Veera in this subject. In compared to Kashyapa and Vidura is addressed as hero. Because devotees are more in sense control. That's the point what Prabhupada is saying here. When, where to use his senses. So that's where the devotees become mature enough. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की निताय गौर
हरे कृष्ण गोल्डन टेंपल वारी मरो అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణ వాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం, వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణవాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. మరిన్ని వివరాల కోసం కాల్ చేయండి.